Hey, what's up, Musers? This is John at Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code, and I'm really excited to be doing today's video tutorial. I'm going to be showcasing the new on-scroll audio effects widget found at museforyoushop.com. So I kind of used a Zodiac theme for this example site, and I'm not really into any of that, but I found that the images and the sounds I used made it to be a really good example site. So I have an example site here, and here it says, what's your sign? And then it says scroll down. So I'm going to scroll down the website. And we can see when I scroll down, we have a sound that triggers, and we have this image and this text fade in. All right, very good. So that's the example there. And each of these sounds were triggered when the image reached the bottom of the browser. So when this image here of the torus, when it reached the bottom of the browser, like right here, it triggered the sound. So this is what you can do with the on-scroll audio effects, and it can make for a really interesting website. You can add more depth and dimension to your website with sound as the user scrolls. And I've also added a fixed circle menu here to the left, which goes through each of the sections there. So in this video tutorial, we're going to be recreating this website, and I'll be showing you how to access and use the on-scroll audio effects widget. We're also going to be using a few other widgets from museforyoushop.com. So here we use the particles.js widget for these particles here, and we also use the animator widget to fade in the images and the text. So that's what we'll be doing in this video tutorial, so let's begin. So to access the widget, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and then you can click on the pop-up here, and here you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with by clicking the subscribe button here, or you can subscribe with PayPal by clicking here. Or you can purchase the widget individually by clicking here on the on-scroll audio effects widget, and then here you can click on add to cart, or again you can get all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Very good. And once you get access to the download file, it comes in a zip file. You simply unzip the zip file, and then you double click on the .mula file, and it will automatically install into your Adobe Muse website. So I'm going to open up my Adobe Muse website, and I'm going to double click on the home page here, and here I have a blank page. Now the first thing that I want to do is set the browser fill to black. So I'm going to go to my browser fill, and I'm going to set it to black. Very good. And I have my assets here in my Finder. So here are all my assets, and I've gotten all these images from $photoclub.com, which I believe now is Adobe stock. So I have the image of the torus. I believe it's Aries. I don't quite remember all the names of these zodiacs, but I'll reference the example site to get the names. But I have all my images here and all my sounds. So I'm going to quickly show you how I created the first images, or how I went about setting the width and height of the images. So here I have a folder from $Photo Club, and here the image came in a .eps file. So I'm going to right click, open with Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so here I have the image, and now I'm just going to right click, ungroup, and delete the background here because I just want the image of the torus here. So now I'll go to File, New, and for the artboard I want it to be 350 pixels in width and 350 pixels in height. So here you enter the dimensions, and now I'll click OK. And actually I want to copy this image here before, so I'll just hit Command C to copy. Then I'll go to my artboard and hit Command V, and I'll just resize this image because the width is higher than the height, or there's more width than height. I want to set the width first, so I'll set it to 340 so that the image is a little bit larger and it fits nicely within the artboard. So now I'll make sure that this image is aligned in the center of the artboard. So I'll align it horizontally and align it vertically by clicking the align buttons up here. Very good. So now I'll go to File, Save for Web. I'll make sure that transparency is set, and I want to save it as a PNG. So now I'll click on save, and I'll save it to that folder here. And I'll just call it Muse for You image-8. Very good. So that's what I did for each of these images here. So I have all the images all set here, and I have my audio files. The audio files I actually got from this website here, 99 Sounds, and I'll leave this link in the description area below. It has royalty-free sound effects, and they're really great. And you can use them for your projects here. So I believe most of these sounds are royalty-free and commercial-free, or in the sense you can use it for any project. But yeah, I'd just make sure to kind of read through it and make sure that those particular sound effects you can use for your projects. But they are free, and I read through most of it, and they are commercial free or royalty free, if I can say it that way. But yeah, I'll leave a link in the description area below so you can access these sound effects. Okay, so here are the sounds and the images that I want to use for this website. So I'm just going to go over a quick example of how to use the on-scroll audio effects, and then I'll go through and build the rest of the website. So I'm going to start with the torus here. So I'll click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. And I have it here. And then I'll create some text by selecting the text tool, and I'll just say torus, and we'll make it Lato light, and I'll make it white, and let's say 36 in font size. All right, very good. So there I have it. Now to add the on-scroll audio effects to this image here, what I'm going to do is go to my library panel. If you don't see your library panel, you can just go to Window and click on Library. So I'll click on Window and Library to bring it back up. And now I'll scroll down to the Muse for You on-scroll audio effects widget, which is right here. So I'll click the drop down, and then for the first effect, I want to select the on-scroll audio effects widget initial. So I'll just click, hold, and drag. And then for any effects after the initial, I'll select the on-scroll audio effects additional. Very good. So here I have the widget options. So the first option is instance number. So for the initial, you can always leave the instance number to 1. And then here you can set the graphic style name. By default, it's audio 1. And then here you can select your audio files. You can select MP3, .ogg, and .wave. The only one that's really necessary is .mp3. OGG and .wave are kind of fallbacks if you want to make sure that it works on every browser. Firefox was usually the one that needed a .ogg file, but I've tested it on Firefox, and MP3 works now. I don't know if it's a new update with Firefox, but MP3 seems to work fine in Firefox. But if you did want any fallbacks, you can add a .ogg version of the file and a .wave. And then here we can set the audio to autoplay, so when the user first goes to the website, the sound can automatically play. And we can also loop the audio once the audio plays. And we have the option of selecting buffer here, and this is for really long audios. If you have a really long audio, what buffer allows you to do is it allows the audio to load as it's playing. So rather than having to wait for the audio to load, you can play the audio and it can be loading as it plays. So this works well if you have, let's say, a really long audio or a song. It can buffer the audio as it's playing and load the audio there as it's playing. And here we have volume, so you can set the volume of the audio effect. So you can set it from 0.1 to 1. So here I have it set to 0.5. And then here we have rate, so you can speed up the audio. You can kind of give it that squirrely effect. If you have a voice, you can pitch it up and make it sound kind of like squirrely, or you can just make the sound, pitch up the sound and have it at a higher rate there, so it sounds a bit different with a different pitch or a higher pitch. Very good. And then here on scroll is where we'll set the on scroll offset from the top. So the way it works, it's in percentage. So if you set it at 100%, it's going to start, the audio is going to trigger once that element reaches the bottom of the browser, because it's 100% from the top of the browser. If you set it to 50%, the audio will trigger when the element is in the middle of the page, and 20% it will trigger when it's higher within the page. And then you can set it to play once. So rather than having the audio trigger every time the user scrolls on and off the element, you can have the audio just trigger once throughout the website, so that the user can just scroll through and hear the audio, and then once they scroll back over the element, it doesn't trigger the audio. But that's just kind of, how you want to style your website. I'd recommend, maybe not having it play once if it's a short audio and you want to give the user that effect every time they scroll on and off the element. For this example, I'm going to have it set to play once because I like it just having it play once, and then the user can scroll through the website. Okay, so those are the widget options. And now what we want to do is assign the element, the graphic style name, audio1. So I want the audio to trigger when this image reaches the bottom of the browser. So what I'm going to do is go to graphic styles, and here this is where we'll assign the graphic style. So here we have this little icon that looks like a piece of paper. So I'll click on it, and then for style I'll double click on it and I'll say audio1 because that's the graphic style that was in the widget. Okay, and if you don't see your graphic styles panel, you can just go to window and click on graphic styles, and there it is. And again, we set it to audio1 because in here it says graphic style name audio1. So now when this image reaches the bottom of the browser, we're gonna hear that audio trigger, and we need to add audio to it, which I haven't done. So for the audio-mp3, I'm going to select add file, and I'm going to select this first audio here. Very good, so there's my audio, and it's going to trigger when this image hits the bottom of the browser. So I'm going to zoom out on my website and give it more scroll space and just bring this down a little bit like this. All right, perfect. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and I'll scroll down, and that audio triggers when this element hits the bottom of the browser. And because we set it to only play once, it's only going to play the audio once. If we change that and unchecked play once, and I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, it triggers the audio every time that element hits the bottom of the browser. Okay, so now I'll set it to play once again. All right, very good. So that's how you use the on-scroll audio effects. And if you were to add more audio effects, you would select on-scroll audio effects additional. So what I'm going to do now is continue with building the rest of the website. So I'm going to try to go fairly quickly through the rest of this process. So we have the first audio effect there. Now what I want to do is add the particles.js widget to add those particles in the background. So I'm going to go to my library panel, and I'm going to go to particles.js, which is right here. And then I'll just click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. Very good. And then I'll make it 100% width by selecting the 100% width tool. And it automatically proportions the widget because the canvas is kind of in a certain proportion. Very good. So we have the particles.js widget here, and I'm going to pin it to the top of the browser. And I'm going to sample some colors here from the torus. So I'm going to select the browser fill, and for browser fill, I'm going to click the drop down, select the sample color tool, and I'll sample kind of this gold color on the torus. I'll click the save swatch icon here, and I'll click OK, and then I'm going to sample this red color as well, and then click OK to save it in my swatches panel. And I'm going to be using this for the particles in the particles.js widget. Now I'll set the background back to black and perfect. So I'll go into my particles.js widget. I'll click the blue circle with the arrow for the widget options, and for the particle color, I'll say yellow, this kind of gold color that I sampled. And I don't want that many particles, so for the number of particles, I'll say 40. For the particle shape, I'll leave on circle. For the stroke width, I'll say 1, and the stroke color, I'll say red. Okay, that all looks good there. And for the particle speed, I want it to be, let's say 2. I don't want it to move too quickly. Okay, very good. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and there I have my particles. And I don't want any interactivity on them. So here where it says Enable Interactivity on Hover, I'll just uncheck that. And here where it says Enable Interactivity on Click, I'll uncheck that as well. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and there I have my particles. Very nice. And for the line of the particles, I'm going to set it to gold as well. Go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and perfect. We have the particles there. There's no interactivity, and they're just kind of in the background there. Perfect. All right, so I'll zoom out again, and I'll just bring all this up a little bit. Very good. And I'll bring the audio effects widget up as well. Okay, so now I'm going to add the other images. So I'll select all of these images here. So I'll click, hold, and drag, and place onto my Adobe Muse website. Perfect. And I'll just kind of bring them down here. And a little shortcut to align these properly. I'll just drag this first one, or this last one, all the way down, like so, and then I'll select all of these images, and I'll go to my align option, and here where it says align to, I'll say align to content area, and then for distribute spacing, I'll vertical distribute space, and this just distributes the space evenly between all of these images. And I'll just drag this up, the Taurus text. Oh, I want to make sure that that the particles.js is in the back, so I'll arrange send to back. And here, let's do this. Let's bring this down. And good. And actually what I want to do is align to selection, not content area. That way only the images get aligned. So align to selection, distribute spacing. Okay, perfect. And let's give more space between these images. Okay. All right, perfect. And then for Taurus, I'll bring this up like that. And I'll just copy and paste to give these other names. I think this is Aries. Yeah. Then we have Leo. I'll paste again. Virgo. And Capricorn. Okay, very good. Just give it some spacing there. Okay. So now I'm going to add the on-scroll audio effects to each of these images. So I'll go back to my library panel and I'll select on-scroll audio effects additional. So I'll click that here. And I'm going to zoom in so we can see this a little better. So there I have the additional on-scroll audio effects, and the instance number is 2, and the graphic style name is audio 2. And for the audio file, I'll click add file, and I'll select the second audio file. Then I'll go to this image, and I'll say graphic styles, new graphic style. I'll say audio 1. Oh, excuse me, audio 2. Excuse me. All right, perfect. And I'll just copy and paste this widget a few times, and perfect. And one more time. There we go. So here I'll say instance number 3, and I'll say audio 3, and I'll select the third audio, and here I'll say instance number 4, audio 4, and I'll select the fourth audio. Here I'll say audio 5, or instance number 5, audio 5, and perfect. And I'll select the fifth audio. Okay, perfect. So we have all our audio in the widget. So now I just have to go to each image and graphic styles. For this one, I'll say audio 3. This one, I'll say audio 4. And this one, I'll say audio 5. All right, perfect. So let's preview this in the browser. I'll go to File and yeah, let me arrange. Okay, yeah. I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. So we have our particles. There's the first sound, second, okay, very nice. Oh, and we don't have it set to play once, so I want them each just to play once. All right, perfect. And I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit so we can hear it a bit better. There we go. File, Preview Page in Browser. Okay, very nice. All right, so now I'm going to have each of these elements fade in. So I'm going to grab the animator widget. So I'll go to my library panel, and I'll go to the animator right here. And for the first one, I want to select the animator initial. And let me just, I'm going to bring this widget here. For the first one, I'll select the animator initial, and we'll have it there. And for the graphic style, I'll just say audio 1, because they already have a graphic style name to them. And I'll say fade in, and we'll say fade in 7 seconds. So I'll say 7,000. Okay, and we want to set it to on scroll fade in, so it has a smooth fade in and a nice, and it triggers on scroll. And we want to set on scroll offset from top percentage 100%, so it matches the trigger of the audio, and the animation and the audio will sync together. So when this hits the bottom of the browser, it's going to trigger the animation. All right, so now for the additional, or the other effects after the after the first one, I'm gonna select the animator widget additional. So I'm gonna click, hold, and drag and place onto the Adobe Muse website, and we have animate 2. So for the graphic style name, I'll say audio 2, instance number 2, and fade in, and we'll say 7 seconds as well. All right, and I'll just copy this. Okay, very good. And I'll go to the third one, and I'll say audio 3. We don't need to change the instance number because the duration is the same for all of them. If you were to change the duration, you would need a different instance number for each of these animator widgets, or each of these animations. Very good. And I'll just say audio 4 and audio 5. All right, perfect. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page, or File, Preview Page in Browser. Very good. So that fades in. Aries did not fade in. So let's see. Audio 2. Fade in. Oh, because we didn't set it to on scroll. Yeah, we need to set it to on scroll fade in. All right, perfect. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. Fades in. Fades in. Very nice. Okay, let me turn it up one more. All right, looks good. Okay, so we have this fade in. So if we notice the text isn't fading in, and that's because we need to assign individual graphic style names to the text. The reason for that is because if we assigned the same graphic style name to the text, the audio would want to trigger when the text hits the bottom of the browser. So you'd have like two sounds. You'd have it kind of, bing at first and then bing right away again, because the text is a little bit lower than the image. So I'm just gonna copy all of these widgets, and we'll do one more. Very good. And so now for the graphic style name, I'm just going to say animate 1 and animate 2, animate 3, animate 4, and animate 5. Okay, and I'll go to each of these texts. For graphic styles, create a new graphic style, say animate 1. I'll go to this text, animate 2. 2. I'll go to this text. Animate 3. This text. Animate 4. And this last text. Animate 5. All right, perfect. So now I'll go to File, hit File, Preview Page in Browser. I'll scroll down. Perfect. Very good. Perfect. Very good. So now the last thing I want to do is add the dot navigation. So I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to add it here to the top. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool and draw a square. I'll draw the square to about 15 by 15 pixels. I'll fill it with white. And for the stroke, initially I don't want any stroke on it, but then I'll go to the normal state. I'll go to rollover. Oh, and actually I want it to be a circle. So I'll select the stroke radius here. I'll just make it cornered, and then I'll set this to 100 to make it a perfect circle. And then here where it says rectangle, I'll go to rollover. And then for the rollover state, I want it to have a stroke of 3. And the color, I want it to be gold here. So the rollover and the mouse down state have a stroke on them. And then for the active state, I want it to have a stroke of 3 as well. But I wanted to make it this red color that we sampled. All right, perfect. So we have our buttons, and now I just want to copy and paste this 5 times. So copy and paste, paste, yep, paste, and paste, and one more time. All right, so there are my circles, and I'm just going to align them. So I want to make sure that it's aligned to selection, and then I'll align horizontal centers, and then distribute vertical space. All right, so there's my dot navigation. It's a little bit too far apart, so I'll just bring the top and the bottom closer, and then I'll distribute spacing, and it distributes the buttons in there. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm just gonna bring it a little bit closer in here, and I'm gonna pin to the top left here by selecting the pin option and pinning it to the top left so it doesn't move when you scroll the website. Okay, and I might need to move it outside a little bit more like that. All right, that looks good. So now I want to set some anchors to the page. So I'm going to go to my anchor tool right up here. So I'll click the anchor tool, and the first one is going to be home, or I'll say top, and I'll align it to the middle and make sure that it's aligned to the content area so that it's aligned within the website. Okay, I'll bring it all the way to the top. Very good. And then I'll select the anchor tool again. And we're going to assign these dots to the anchor tool so it scrolls to each anchor when you click on the dots. And then I'll say Taurus for this next anchor, align center. Very good. Again, I'll select the anchor tool. I'll say Aries, align center, anchor tool. Right there, I'll say Leo, align center, and then here, Virgo, align center, and then here we have Capricorn, and then I'll align center. Okay, now we'll go to the dots. The first dot, we're going to go to the hyperlinks. We'll click on the first dot, we'll go to hyperlinks, and then we'll say top. The second dot will be Taurus. The third dot will be Aries, I believe. Yep, Aries. The fourth dot will be Virgo, or Leo. It's Leo. And then the fifth dot will be Virgo, and the last dot will be Capricorn. Okay, so there's our the dot navigation. So if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, we have the dot navigation here, and if I click on the first dot, or the second dot here, it goes to Taurus, Aries, Leo, Virgo, and Capricorn. We need more scroll space for Capricorn to work correctly. So we'll just zoom out, and I'll bring this all the way down like so. Very good. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. Okay, perfect. Now, if you want the image to be a little bit higher in the browser, like for instance, Aries is a little bit too low, what you simply do is take the anchor point for Aries and just bring it down a little bit. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. Okay, and you can see Aries is a little bit higher within the browser. Leo looks good. Virgo I could bring a little bit higher, and Capricorn a little bit higher. So I'm just holding that, grabbing the anchor tool, holding down Shift, and selecting the down arrow on the keyboard. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. That's a little bit too high now, but we'll leave it like that for now. All right, so Capricorn, so these are a little bit too high now. Okay, we'll leave it like that. And then I'll just add some text here at the top. Or, you know, I can just, or no, I'll just do that. Select the text tool and I'll say, yeah. So I selected the text tool here, created a text box. And I'll say, what's your sign? Okay, and I'll select Lotto Light, 72, and white. I'll go to Align Center, and looks good. And we'll align the text in the center as well. Perfect. That's a little bit big, so I'll say 60, yeah. And then create another text box that says scroll down. Lotto Light, say 36, or we'll do 30, yep. And I'll say white, center in the middle, and then align, center that in the middle as well. All right, so I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. This should be our last preview. And oh, one last thing I want to do is select the Font Smoother widget. So I'll go to Library, and I'll go to Font Smoother widget, and I'll select the Font Smoother Light widget. Very good, and I'll just put that right there. And I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and perfect. So we'll go through each of the signs here with the sound. So I'll click the fixed dot navigation. Very good. Taurus, Aries, Leo, Virgo, and Capricorn. Very good. Perfect. And I'll click the first button here to go back to the top. And there's the website. So that's it for this video tutorial. I showcased how you used the on-scroll audio effects, as well as a few other widgets like the particles.js widget, as well as the animator widget, and we created a fixed dot menu. So that's it for this video tutorial. To access these widgets, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and then you can click on the pop-up here, and then you can subscribe and get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or you can click here to use PayPal and subscribe with PayPal. Or you can purchase the widget individually by clicking here on the on-scroll audio effects and clicking add to cart. Or again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Very good, so that's it for this video tutorial, and again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section are links to other resources. I'll leave a link to the 99 Sounds website so you can get some really cool sound effects, and there's links to museforyoushop.com down there and a few other resources. Yeah, so that's it for this video tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial.